For those who have reached 60 years of age, it's crucial to heed the following warning. A common fruit, likely a lifelong dietary staple, can subtly increase the risk of nighttime stroke. This process unfolds without any obvious symptoms or prior warnings. Someone goes to bed feeling perfectly healthy but wakes up unable to speak, stand, or even move one side of their body. Such an event might seem astonishing, yet, as neurologists confirm, these cases occur with alarming regularity. The causes aren't just smoking or unhealthy foods, but surprisingly, fruits too. Indeed, even a product considered exceptionally healthy and safe can pose a risk as the body undergoes age-related changes. After reaching age 60, the function of vital organs like the kidneys, liver, blood vessels, and brain changes, affecting their ability to efficiently process sugar, potassium, or acid. Medication intake, slower circulation, and nighttime dehydration. All these factors combined transform a seemingly harmless fruit into a potential hidden danger. For this reason, this material will examine 6 common fruits that can do more harm than good, especially if consumed at the wrong time or in the wrong combination. Readers will likely be surprised to learn which fruits made this list and why. Let's start with one of the most common. We're talking about a simple, yet potentially threatening product, bananas. Indeed, these soft, sweet, familiar fruits, beloved by many since early childhood, are traditionally considered easily digestible, nutrient-rich, and a safe snack option. However, after reaching age 60, consuming bananas, especially those that have become overripe, may not be as harmless as commonly believed. The reason is this: as bananas ripen, their starch gradually breaks down into sugar. This process explains why they become sweeter over time. But despite the improved taste, the impact on the body becomes riskier. An overripe banana has an extremely high glycemic index, causing a rapid spike in blood sugar. For people over 60, this can be a serious problem. Why? Because with age, the body's natural ability to regulate potassium, blood sugar, and blood pressure significantly declines. Kidneys function slower, insulin sensitivity weakens, and blood vessels lose their former elasticity. This means a seemingly harmless item like a soft, spotty banana can sharply raise blood sugar, trigger a rise in blood pressure, and even negatively impact heart rhythm due to its significant potassium load. An illustrative example of this problem is the story of Margaret, a 76-year-old retired librarian from Illinois. She habitually ate 1 or 2 overripe bananas in the mornings, sometimes adding them to smoothies, believing it provided a healthy start of her day. However, one morning, Margaret woke up feeling severely dizzy, and her speech became slurred. Her husband immediately took her to the emergency room. Medical specialists diagnosed her with a mild ischemic stroke. It was determined that her blood pressure had significantly risen overnight, and her potassium level was high. Doctors explained that while bananas weren't the sole cause, their combination with high sugar and potassium content, plus morning dehydration, created ideal conditions for the stroke. Margaret decided to make small but important dietary changes. She began eating smaller, less ripe bananas, and only after drinking water and having some protein. As a result of these adjustments, her energy levels significantly improved, and her blood pressure became more stable. Thus, it should be noted, bananas themselves are not inherently bad, but overripe fruits, especially when consumed in significant amounts or on an empty stomach, can subtly bring vulnerable older adults closer to stroke risk. It's important to understand that bananas are not the only fruit carrying such a hidden threat. Next, we'll turn to grapes. This small, sweet, and refreshing fruit seems completely harmless, but has a surprisingly high sugar load, which can be even riskier for health. Grapes. They look harmless, don't they? Small, sweet, refreshing berries often served with meals, added to salads, or offered as a light snack while socializing with grandchildren. However, for someone over 60, grapes may not be as safe as they seem at first glance. The reason is simple. Grapes are essentially concentrated sugar, packed into a small berry. Even seedless varieties, especially the very sweet ones widely available in most grocery stores, are loaded with glucose and fructose. When a person eats a handful of these berries, especially on an empty stomach, the sugar rapidly enters the bloodstream. With age, the body's insulin response slows and blood vessels become more fragile. This sudden sugar spike doesn't just provide a brief energy rush. It creates significant stress on the brain and heart, which a person might not even feel. Inside these fragile vessels, sugar triggers microscopic inflammations, barely noticeable swelling and damage. The body, trying to repair the damaged areas, begins to form clots. Initially, they are small and imperceptible, but day by day, the risk accumulates until one morning a person finds they cannot maintain balance or their speech becomes incoherent. This exact situation occurred with 79-year-old Mrs. Evelyn Morris, a retired music teacher from Colorado. She was a sharp, independent woman who highly valued her daily routine, especially her morning bowl of red grapes, which she ate while reading. Sometimes she consumed up to 2 cups, completely unaware of the consequences. Then one day, while writing a birthday card to her grandson, she noticed her hand trembling. Minutes later, she couldn't remember how to spell congratulations. Her daughter immediately took her to the emergency room. The diagnosis was sobering: a mini stroke or transient ischemic attack, TIA. Mrs. Morris's blood sugar had spiked. Tests revealed low-level inflammation and pre-diabetic markers she hadn't known about. She genuinely believed she was doing everything right for her health. Yet, even fruits, if consumed improperly, can subtly become a source of danger. Thus, doctors now recommend the following to their patients. Never eat grapes on an empty stomach. Avoid consuming them by the bowlful. Instead, enjoy a small handful and always pair them with a few almonds or a piece of cheese to slow down the sharp sugar spike. And please, absolutely avoid eating grapes before bed. Your body needs stable blood flow during nighttime rest, not sugar spikes. If you have diabetes or take blood pressure medication, be sure to consult your doctor before including grapes in your regular diet, because even such a seemingly minor food can subtly turn into a serious risk, especially when one is unaware of its potential danger. If you thought grapes were surprising in their hidden impact, wait until we talk about pineapple. This sweet tropical fruit, which many enjoy after dinner, can subtly affect your brain while you sleep. Let me explain why. For older adults, especially those taking medication or with circulation issues, pineapple can subtly create ideal conditions for an increased stroke risk. The reason lies in pineapple containing a natural enzyme known as bromelain. In small amounts, it can aid protein breakdown and digestion. However, when consumed in large quantities or combined with blood thinners or medications affecting clotting, bromelain can disrupt the body's natural ability to clot blood properly. Simply put, it can make blood too thin. This, in turn, paves the way for a much more serious condition: brain hemorrhages, a form of stroke that is significantly harder to recover from. But this isn't the only danger. Pineapple is also very rich in sugar and has a high glycemic index. This means it rapidly floods the bloodstream with sugar. It's especially risky to consume it after dinner, when the body's metabolism slows down and it's no longer burning energy as actively. This sugar remains in the system, circulates, and creates additional strain on blood vessels during sleep. Furthermore, consider pineapple's acidity. It's one of the most acidic fruits available in grocery stores. For many older adults, this can subtly trigger nighttime acid reflux, even without a burning sensation. Such reflux can lead to small amounts of stomach acid entering the airways during sleep, reducing oxygen supply to the brain. This kind of oxygen stress is directly linked to morning strokes, which are considered the most dangerous. Let me share the story of 77-year-old Mrs. Clara Hughes, a retired choir director from North Carolina. She genuinely believed she was doing everything right for her health. Instead of eating cake or cookies, she enjoyed a few slices of fresh pineapple every evening after dinner. But one morning, she woke up severely dizzy and couldn't walk straight. Her daughter noticed her mother's speech was slurred. At the hospital, a CT scan confirmed a small posterior stroke, which affected her balance and memory. Mrs. Hughes's blood sugar was high. Her platelet count was disrupted, and tests showed signs of reflux-induced oxygen drops during sleep. It wasn't one cause, but a combination. Sugar, acid, bromelain, all from a fruit she completely trusted. So, my advice is this. Enjoy pineapple earlier in the day and only in small portions. Never eat it on an empty stomach, and avoid combining it with blood thinners unless your doctor has given explicit approval. Most importantly, under no circumstances eat pineapple before bed. Your brain needs proper rest and stable oxygen supply, not unexpected stresses. Because even something that seems light and beneficial can become a hidden risk, especially at night. And if you believe pineapple poses a significant risk, then wait until you hear about watermelon, a fruit we all commonly think helps hydrate the body. However, in some cases, it can subtly lead to dehydration of your brain. Let's explore this further. Indeed, watermelon is a beloved summer fruit. It's light, juicy, refreshing, and over 90% water. Most people consider it an ideal way to stay hydrated, especially on a hot day. But for older adults, watermelon can be subtly deceptive. Here's what most people don't realize. Watermelon acts as a natural diuretic. This means it encourages more frequent urination, which might seem harmless until you remember that many older adults already take diuretics or blood pressure medications that also actively remove fluid from the body. If you eat a large serving of watermelon in the evening, especially after taking medication, you could trigger nighttime dehydration. This is a state where your body loses too much fluid during sleep, and you don't even feel it happening. So what does this mean for the body? When you're dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker. It flows slower, resembling syrup. And this thickened blood significantly increases the likelihood of clot formation, especially in narrow, aging arteries. This factor combined with a natural drop in blood pressure during sleep creates ideal conditions for silent stroke. Let me tell you about 82-year-old Mr. Howard Lynn, a retired mail carrier from Indiana. He always tried to lead a healthy lifestyle, walking daily, avoiding sweets, striving to stay in good shape. One of his habits was eating 2 or 3 large slices of watermelon after dinner to cool down and stay hydrated. But one morning, he woke up severely dizzy. When he tried to stand, he fell. At the emergency room, his blood pressure was dangerously low, and tests showed signs of dehydration and thickened blood. A scan confirmed a small ischemic stroke, likely caused by a clot forming overnight when his blood flow slowed too much. Howard had no idea that the watermelon he thought was beneficial was actually drawing water out of his body, not adding it. And, combined with his diuretic medication, it disrupted his balance. So what's the takeaway? Enjoy watermelon earlier in the day and in moderation. If you take diuretics, be sure to talk to your doctor before making watermelon a regular habit. Pair it with electrolytes, like a pinch of salt or a sip of coconut water, to help your body retain fluids. And please, avoid eating it at night. If you notice symptoms like dry mouth, morning dizziness, or feeling unsteady upon waking, do not ignore these signs. They could be your body signaling that something is wrong. Watermelon might be surprising, but what about oranges? This is a fruit long praised for its high vitamin C content and heart benefits. Can it truly interact dangerously with your medications? Let's explore this further. Next, a glass of orange juice for breakfast, sliced orange on the table, perhaps even tucked into a Christmas stocking by your grandchildren. But here's what most older adults were never told. Oranges, and especially orange juice, can subtly affect how your medications work. It's not just about the sugar, though one glass of orange juice can quickly spike blood sugar. The real issue lies in a natural compound found in citrus fruits like oranges, grapefruits, and even Seville oranges. It's called furanocoumarin. This complex word describes how it interferes with enzymes in your liver, especially those responsible for metabolizing many common medications. When this happens, your body either holds on to too much medicine or doesn't process it properly at all. This means a blood pressure medication you've taken for years could suddenly become too strong, dangerously lowering your pressure. Or statins, meant to lower cholesterol, could build up and cause muscle inflammation or brain fog. Or a blood thinner might stop working correctly, leaving your blood unstable and increasing stroke risk without warning. This isn't just theory. Doctors have seen it firsthand. Take, for example, Mr. Elbert Bryant, 79, a retired bus driver from Georgia. He had a beloved morning ritual: freshly squeezed orange juice with breakfast, which he consumed along with his heart and cholesterol medications. He called it his sunshine in a glass. But over time, he started feeling dizzy, lightheaded when trying to stand, and sometimes a bit confused in the mornings. One day, he passed out while getting up from his chair. Doctors discovered he had a small ischemic stroke, and blood tests showed dangerously elevated medication levels. Even though he hadn't changed his dosage, his daily orange juice habit altered the situation. The citrus compounds slowed his liver's ability to break down the medications. His system was subtly overloaded. So, here's what doctors recommend to all their older patients. Limit or completely avoid orange juice if you're taking medications like statins, calcium channel blockers, or blood thinners. Don't mix citrus with your pills. If you're unsure, always consult your doctor. If you enjoy a citrus flavor, try adding a little lemon or lime to your water. This has far fewer interactions. Because at this stage of life, even something as simple as an orange can disrupt your body's internal balance, even if you don't realize it. And if that made you rethink your morning routine, wait until you hear about mango. This sweet tropical treat can simultaneously raise blood sugar and slow down your liver function. Let's discuss this in more detail. Soft, juicy, naturally sweet. It feels like a tropical reward, a fruit that seems too delicious to be dangerous. But if you're over 60, especially if you're taking medication for blood pressure, heart rhythm, or cholesterol, mango might do more harm than good. Here's why. Mango is one of the sweetest fruits on grocery shelves. Just 1 cup of ripe mango contains almost 45 grams of natural sugar. That's more sugar than in a donut. Now consider what this does to an aging body. Your insulin response slows, and blood vessels become more fragile. A sudden sugar spike causes inflammation inside arteries, especially those leading to the brain. This inflammation can cause tiny cracks in vessel walls. And what does your body do when there's a crack? It forms a blood clot to patch it. In a younger body, this might not be a big deal, but in an older person with narrowed arteries, this clot can easily block blood flow to the brain, leading to a stroke. Mango also contains a compound called mangiferin. Sounds harmless, right? But mangiferin can interfere with your liver's ability to process medications, especially those that use the cytochrome P450 enzyme system. This includes many common heart, cholesterol, and blood pressure drugs. So, instead of your body safely clearing these medications, they build up in your system. You don't feel it at first until you experience dizziness, weakness, or something worse. Until your blood pressure drops or your heart rhythm changes without warning. Let me share a real story. 83-year-old Mr. William Booker, a retired firefighter from Nevada, decided to eat right, replacing cookies with dried mango slices every day after lunch. He also took medication for atrial fibrillation and high blood pressure. After a few weeks, he started waking up dizzy. One morning, he passed out getting out of bed. His wife noticed the left side of his face looked droopy. At the hospital, a scan showed a mild ischemic stroke. Blood tests revealed his medication levels were abnormally high, despite correct dosage. The reason? His liver couldn't process the drugs properly due to daily mango consumption. So, here's my advice to you. If you love mango, eat only a few pieces and only during the day. Never eat mango before bed, especially dried mango, which is even more concentrated. Always pair it with protein or fat, such as nuts or cheese, to slow down sugar absorption. And most importantly, if you're taking any prescription heart or blood pressure medications, consult your doctor first. Now that we've covered these 6 surprising fruits, you might feel a bit uncertain about what's truly safe. And that's perfectly normal, because understanding the risks is the first step to protecting your brain and heart for years to come. With age, even healthy habits require reevaluation. Fruits that once helped us can now subtly work against us, especially when combined with medications or consumed at the wrong time. This isn't about fear, but awareness. You don't need to give up fruits. You just need to eat them wisely. Smaller portions, earlier in the day, paired with protein or healthy fats, and always under your doctor's guidance. Your brain, your heart, and your independence are priceless assets worth protecting. And remember, you've navigated this life with strength and wisdom. Now is the time to eat not just for energy, but for mental clarity, health stability, and a long, vibrant life ahead. What if you were told that eating vegetables you've always considered healthy could subtly increase your stroke risk while you sleep? No pain, no prior warnings. One moment you're calmly reading a book or watching TV. The next, you find you can't speak or move your arm. As a neurologist, I've seen this heartbreaking scenario repeatedly, especially in people over 60 who seem to be doing everything right. They ate healthy, exercised, avoided sugar, yet still had strokes. So what went wrong? The truth is, not all vegetables are safe for everyone, especially if consumed in certain combinations or at specific times of day. Some common vegetables in your fridge can raise blood pressure, thicken blood, or even cause clots if you're on medication, have kidney issues, or suffer from mild dehydration. And yes, this can happen even if you're eating healthy smoothies, salads, or stir-fries. I know this might sound shocking, but understanding which vegetables to be cautious with can protect your memory, your independence, and your ability to enjoy life without fear. That's why this video was created. If you're over 60 or caring for someone who is, please watch it to the end. You might learn something truly life-saving. Now, let's look at 7 vegetables that can subtly increase your stroke risk overnight and what to do instead. Let's start with something that might truly surprise you: spinach. This leafy green vegetable, which you've trusted for years, perhaps in salads, smoothies, or steamed on your plate, can actually increase your stroke risk if you're over 60 and not careful about how you eat it. Now you might be thinking, wait, spinach? I thought that was one of the healthiest foods. And yes, it contains excellent nutrients like vitamin K, folic acid, and iron. But here's what most people don't know. Raw spinach is very high in oxalates. Oxalates are natural compounds found in many plants. In small amounts, they're usually not an issue, but with daily consumption, especially raw, they can bind with calcium in your blood and form tiny crystals. Over time, this can contribute to hardening of the arteries, clot formation, or even strain on your kidneys. And this becomes much more dangerous if you're already suffering from mild dehydration, which is very common at night. Especially if you're taking blood thinners like warfarin or aspirin or calcium or vitamin D supplements. Here's the tricky part. Most people don't feel any warning signs. You might go to bed thinking you've made a healthy choice, only to wake up with slurred speech or weakness in one arm. It happens subtly, suddenly, and doctors have seen it far too many times. But here's the good news. You don't have to stop eating spinach. You just need to cook it lightly. A quick steam or sauté significantly reduces the oxalate content, making it much safer for older adults. And if spinach is your daily go-to for green smoothies, it might be time to alternate with other greens like romaine or bok choy, which are much lower in oxalates. Remember, after 60, it's not just what you eat, but how and when you eat it. Our bodies change, and we need to adapt. If spinach caught you by surprise, just wait until you hear about the next vegetable. A root vegetable often juiced for heart health, but one that could dangerously drop your blood pressure in the middle of the night. Let's talk about it. The one that often surprises people: beets. Vibrant, earthy, and often hailed as a superfood, especially for heart health. You might have enjoyed beet salads or even sip beet juice in the mornings, thinking it would help lower your blood pressure. And yes, it does. Sometimes a little too well. Beets are naturally rich in nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide, a compound that helps relax blood vessels and lower blood pressure. Sound great, right? But here's the catch. If you're already on blood pressure medication, especially at night, adding beet juice or large amounts of beets can drop your blood pressure too low, particularly while you sleep. Low blood pressure at night can lead to dizziness upon waking, blurry vision, fainting, or, in the worst case, a lack of blood flow to the brain, something that can contribute to a mini stroke or even a major one. And, similar to spinach, Beets also contain oxalates, which can be detrimental to kidney health, especially for older adults whose kidney function may not be as robust as it once was. Does this mean you need to cut beets out of your diet entirely? Not at all. The key to safe consumption lies in moderation and timing. Instead of daily pure beet juice, try having small portions of cooked beets a few times a week, preferably as part of a full meal rather than on an empty stomach. And if you're on blood pressure medication, it's highly recommended to consult your doctor before making beets a regular part of your diet. You can also try mixing beets with other vegetables to dilute the overall nitrate load. For example, add a few slices to a mixed salad or soup rather than consuming it as a concentrated juice. Remember, it's not about fear, but about striking a balance and being aware. After 60, even healthy foods should be approached with more caution. And speaking of balance, the next item might be sitting right on your kitchen counter. It's a tiny powerhouse, known for its pungent flavor and heart-healthy benefits. However, if you're on blood thinners, it could subtly increase your risk of bleeding during the night. Let's talk about garlic. The one you probably use every day, garlic. Whether you're sautéing it with vegetables or adding it to soups, it's been praised for centuries as a natural remedy, and its powerful effects are truly undeniable. Garlic can help lower cholesterol, support your immune system, and even improve circulation. But here's where it gets tricky, especially if you're over 60 and on blood-thinning medication. Garlic, particularly in its raw form, acts as a natural anticoagulant. This means it thins your blood, much like medications such as aspirin, warfarin, Coumadin, or Plavix. And while this might seem beneficial, combining too many blood thinners, whether from the pharmacy or your kitchen, can subtly push your body into dangerous territory. At first, you might feel nothing, no pain, no dizziness. But suddenly, a small bump to the head, a tiny fall, or even a strong cough could lead to internal bleeding, and in severe cases, a brain hemorrhage. Doctors have known patients who unexpectedly collapsed or experienced confusion, only to later discover a brain bleed had occurred without any warning signs. So what should you do? If you love garlic, and many of us do, you don't have to stop using it. But you should be cautious about daily raw garlic consumption, especially if you're already on prescription blood thinners. Instead, try using lightly cooked garlic, which still offers benefits, but has a less intense blood-thinning effect. A small amount of garlic in your stir-fry or stew is often safer than raw garlic paste or minced garlic on an empty stomach. Most importantly, be sure to tell your doctor if you regularly eat garlic as part of your diet. They might need to adjust your medication or monitor your blood composition more closely. Being proactive now could save you from a very serious emergency later. And speaking of hidden dangers, the next vegetable might look perfectly harmless. It's soft, tender, and often baked or grilled. But inside, some foods contain natural compounds that can subtly constrict blood vessels and restrict blood flow to the brain. Now, let's turn to a vegetable that seems utterly benign, eggplant. It's soft, spongy, and easy to cook. You might have baked it with olive oil, added it to stews, or grilled it for dinner. But here's what most people don't realize. Eggplant contains a natural chemical called solanine. Solanine is found in nightshade vegetables like potatoes, tomatoes, and of course, eggplant. In small amounts, it's not dangerous. However, if you're over 60, especially with existing circulatory issues, high blood pressure, or neurological conditions, solanine can trigger the narrowing of blood vessels, a process called vasoconstriction. And when your blood vessels constrict, what happens? Less blood flows to the brain. Over time, this can increase your risk of developing small clots or trigger multiple mini-strokes, especially if you already have narrowed arteries or eat eggplant too frequently. Some older adults have even reported dizziness or brain fog after heavy eggplant meals, unaware of the true cause. And while this won't happen to everyone, it's worth paying attention if you're eating eggplant multiple times a week or feeling unwell after consuming it. So what can you do? First, never eat eggplant raw. Thorough cooking helps break down some of the solanine, making it much safer to consume. Second, limit your eggplant meals to once or twice a week. especially if you have vascular concerns or are on medications that affect blood pressure or circulation. Third, consider swapping eggplant for more circulation-friendly vegetables like carrots, zucchini, or squash. These are rich in antioxidants, but don't carry the same vasoconstriction risks. Next, let's consider a vegetable often found in healthy stir-fries or soups, especially in Asian cuisine. It looks harmless, grows quickly, and is even considered a clean food. But for women over 60, it could subtly impact hormone balance and blood clotting. We're talking about soy sprouts. These small, crunchy sprouts are often seen as a symbol of freshness. They're light, clean, and easily added to soups, salads, or stir-fries. Many older adults enjoy them because they seem healthy and gentle on the stomach. But here's what most people don't realize. Soy sprouts are rich in phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens are plant compounds that mimic estrogen in the body. For younger individuals, this might not be a big concern. But for women over 60, especially those in postmenopause, it can create a subtle hormonal imbalance. And for some, it could increase the risk of blood clots, especially if you're already on hormone replacement therapy or have a family history of clotting issues. Even for men, excessive phytoestrogen intake could potentially affect metabolism or hormone-sensitive conditions over time. It's important to note that soy sprouts aren't inherently bad. They offer protein, fiber, and vitamins. The issue lies in how much and how often you eat them. If you enjoy soy sprouts, here are some tips to stay safe. Always cook them lightly. Sautéing or blanching is best. Cooking helps reduce the phytoestrogen activity compared to eating them raw. Don't overdo it. A handful occasionally is fine, but large portions every day, especially for older women, can subtly affect your body in ways you won't feel until a problem arises. Talk to your doctor if you're on hormone therapy or blood clot medication. Many people don't realize that even small foods like this can interact with medications long-term. The takeaway: you don't have to avoid them forever. Just treat them as an addition, not a staple. Next, let's look at something most people keep in their fridge year-round. It's tangy, crunchy, and often homemade, but its high salt content can subtly raise your blood pressure, especially during the most vulnerable nighttime hours. We're talking about pickled vegetables. This is something familiar, especially if you grew up with homemade foods. Pickled vegetables, perhaps it's sauerkraut, kimchi, or just homemade dill pickles. They add crunch, flavor, and a touch of nostalgia to any meal. But here's what's crucial to know. Most pickled vegetables are loaded with sodium. And for anyone over 60, especially those with high blood pressure or heart concerns, that amount of salt can be a real problem, particularly at night. Here's why. When you eat salty foods, your body retains water. This increases your blood volume, which in turn raises your blood pressure. In younger individuals, the body adapts quickly. But as we age, our blood vessels become less elastic, and our kidneys aren't as efficient at flushing out sodium. This means your blood pressure can spike and stay high, especially while you sleep. High nighttime blood pressure is one of the most dangerous indicators for older adults. It's a major risk factor for strokes, TIAs, transient ischemic attacks, and even heart failure. And the worst part is, you won't feel it coming. You might go to bed feeling fine, only to wake up with slurred speech, numbness, or not wake up at all. So, does this mean you have to give up your favorite pickled treats? Not necessarily. Here's what you can do. Make your own pickles at home using less salt. Or look for low-sodium recipes that keep the flavor without the blood pressure spikes. Be mindful of timing. Avoid eating pickled vegetables at night or before bed, when your body is most sensitive to salt. Check food labels if you're buying pre-made options. Some pickles can have over 1,000 milligrams of sodium per serving. Remember, a little tangy crunch can still be part of your diet. You just need to be smarter, not saltier. So, there's one last vegetable on this list, and it might shock you the most. It's vibrant, juicy, and often considered heart-healthy. But if your kidneys aren't perfectly efficient, this fruit-like vegetable could subtly increase your risk of irregular heartbeat and stroke. We're talking about tomatoes. Juicy, vibrant, and rich in antioxidants like lycopene, tomatoes are often lauded as a heart-healthy food. Many over 60 enjoy them raw in salads, sliced in sandwiches, or even juiced in the mornings. But here's what most people don't hear often enough. Tomatoes are also very high in potassium. And this is where the concern arises, especially if your kidney function isn't what it used to be. As we age, kidneys naturally slow down. They might not filter potassium from your blood as efficiently, especially if you've ever been told about borderline kidney function or have conditions like diabetes or high blood pressure. When potassium builds up, it can cause irregular heart rhythms, muscle weakness, or even a sudden spike in stroke risk. The tricky part is, high potassium doesn't cause pain or any obvious warning signs. You might feel a little tired or dizzy, or nothing at all, until something serious happens. And it's not just fresh tomatoes. Tomato juice, tomato paste, and sauces are often concentrated sources of potassium. Daily tomato juice, especially in large amounts, can subtly push your potassium levels out of the safe zone. But does this mean you should avoid tomatoes entirely? Not at all. Here's a safer approach. Cook your tomatoes. Cooking reduces the potassium concentration per serving and helps your body absorb lycopene better, a powerful antioxidant that supports heart health. Be mindful of portion size. A few slices with a meal is fine, but avoid large raw tomato servings or daily tomato juice unless your doctor has cleared it. And if you've ever been warned about high potassium or kidney issues, ask your doctor if you should consume tomatoes more cautiously. Remember, tomatoes can still be part of your diet. You just need to know when and how much. Now that we've covered these 7 surprising vegetables, you might be wondering, what do I do next? Let's summarize with a few simple, empowering takeaways just for you. After 60, your body changes subtly, gradually, but very really. Foods that once supported your health might now need adjustment. It's not that spinach, beets, or tomatoes are bad. It's that the timing, portions, and combinations matter more than ever. A simple smoothie or side dish could either support your brain or slowly increase your stroke risk, even without your knowledge. But don't let this overwhelm you. You're not broken. Your body isn't failing. It's just changing. And with the right knowledge, you can still enjoy your favorite foods while protecting your heart and mind. Your health deserves clarity, not confusion. One moment you're sipping your morning coffee. The next, your arm won't move. Words won't come out. No warning, no pain, just gone. As a brain-focused doctor, I've seen this heartbreaking moment far too often, especially in people over 60. And surprisingly, it's not always caused by fast food, smoking, or lack of exercise. Sometimes it's caused by fruit. Yes, fruit. The very thing we've always considered healthy can subtly increase your stroke risk if you're not careful. Certain fruits, especially when consumed in large amounts at the wrong time or with age-related conditions, can spike blood pressure, disrupt blood sugar, or even contribute to blood clots. After 60, your body handles sugar, potassium, and acids differently than it used to. What was once harmless can now become risky, even without your knowledge. Have you ever felt dizzy after a sweet fruit snack or a little unwell after drinking juice? You're not alone. That's why today, we're going to look at 9 everyday fruits that could subtly increase your stroke risk overnight. Some of them are probably sitting in your kitchen right now. Let's start with the most surprising one on the list. They're sweet, small, and seem like the perfect healthy snack. You can eat them fresh, frozen, or dried in cereals or trail mixes. But here's what most people don't realize. For older adults, grapes can subtly increase your stroke risk, especially if eaten frequently or in large amounts. Why? Because grapes are packed with natural sugar, especially fructose. After 60, our bodies don't process sugar as efficiently. Insulin response slows, and sugar lingers longer in the bloodstream. This can lead to blood sugar spikes that damage blood vessel walls, promote inflammation, and create ideal conditions for blood clots to form. Even more concerning are raisins. Just a small handful of dried grapes can contain more sugar than most desserts. And unlike the whole fruit, dried fruit lacks the water to slow absorption and the fiber to cushion the impact. This means sugar rushes into your system, causing rapid shifts in glucose and blood pressure. These sugar spikes, especially if they happen repeatedly, don't just affect your energy levels. They increase pressure in your arteries, reduce blood flow efficiency, and make it easier for clots to form, directly putting your brain at risk. If you love grapes, the good news is you don't have to cut them out entirely, but it pays to be mindful of how much and when you eat them. Pair them with a little protein or healthy fat to slow down the sugar spike. And avoid eating them first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Now, let's talk about another beloved item that seems safe but could do more harm than good, especially when it comes in a bottle. It's a common go-to when you're feeling a little under the weather or just want something refreshing. It feels gentle, familiar, and healthy, especially when the label says 100% juice. But what most people don't realize is that apple juice behaves very differently in your body than a whole apple. When you eat a fresh apple, you get fiber, water, and nutrients that work together to slow the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream. This helps prevent sudden blood sugar spikes and keeps your energy levels more stable. But juice strips all of that away. What's left is essentially liquid sugar, rapidly absorbed with little resistance. For someone over 60, this rapid sugar load can cause sharp fluctuations in blood sugar and make your pancreas work overtime. These quick surges, followed by sharp drops, can stress your cardiovascular system, leading to blood vessel inflammation and increased pressure in your arteries. Over time, this becomes a dangerous recipe for strokes. And here's the trick. Because it's a liquid, it's easy to drink more than you realize. A glass here, a top up there, and suddenly you've consumed as much sugar as a soda without realizing it. Even juices with no added sugar can cause this effect, because fruit sugar in large quantities is still sugar. If you enjoy the taste of apple, try eating a whole apple instead of juice. Or dilute your juice with water to lessen its impact. It's a simple switch your brain and heart will thank you for. Now, let's move to a tropical fruit that might be sitting on your kitchen counter. Sweet, sunny, and far more acidic than it appears. It's bright, tropical, and feels like sunshine on a plate. Many older adults enjoy it chilled or canned, thinking it's a refreshing and healthy treat. But what you might not know is that pineapple, while rich in vitamin C, can be surprisingly harsh on your body, especially after 60. Pineapple naturally contains a lot of sugar and acid. This combination can irritate your stomach, disrupt digestion, and cause rapid blood sugar spikes, especially if you eat it on an empty stomach or in large quantities. The acidity can also cause inflammation in your gut lining, which can impact nutrient absorption and your blood pressure stability. And there's more. The natural sugar in pineapple, primarily fructose, is rapidly absorbed, causing a rush of glucose into your system. For older adults with slower metabolisms and more fragile blood vessels, this sudden sugar load can put unnecessary pressure on your heart and brain. Over time, these spikes can damage artery walls, promote blood clotting, and increase your stroke risk. Canned pineapple adds another layer of concern. It often comes packed in syrup, containing even more sugar than fresh slices. Even if it says light syrup, the impact can be heavy, especially if you're already managing blood pressure, cholesterol, or blood sugar. If you love pineapple, you don't have to cut it out entirely. Just be mindful of portion size and try to eat it with a small meal rather than on its own. That small habit can make a big difference in how your body responds. Now, let's consider a fruit often hailed as a superfood. But even the healthiest things can become risky in large amounts. In recent years, avocado has become a true symbol of healthy eating, and for good reason. This fruit is abundant in fiber, potassium, and heart-healthy monounsaturated fats. It actively supports brain health, helps lower bad cholesterol, and provides a lasting feeling of fullness. However, there's a nuance. Even the healthiest foods can become problematic if consumed in excess, especially as we age. Avocado is certainly rich in monounsaturated fats, which generally have a beneficial effect on the cardiovascular system. But if consumed daily in large quantities, whether on toast, in salads, or in smoothies, it can lead to a significant fat and calorie load on the body. For a younger body, such a load is processed relatively easily. However, after 60, metabolism slows, and excess fat, even healthy fat, can start to negatively impact cholesterol levels and blood pressure. Potassium, while a vital element for nerve and muscle function, can be tricky. Avocado contains more potassium than bananas. And if a person has kidney problems, excess potassium can accumulate in the blood, which in turn can disrupt heart rhythm, raise blood pressure, and in some cases, increase the risk of stroke. There's also a hidden issue related to portion size. A whole avocado might seem harmless, but daily consumption of one fruit without adjusting the rest of your diet can subtly shift health indicators in an undesirable direction over time, especially if other high-fat or high-potassium foods are present in your diet. The key to safe consumption is balance. A few slices of avocado a couple of times a week is perfectly sufficient to get all its benefits without entering the risk zone. Next, let's move from creamy to chewy, because the next fruit often masquerades as a healthy snack but packs more sugar than most desserts. These small, brown fruits are often called nature's candy, and for good reason. They're soft, sweet, and literally bursting with natural sugars. Many older adults keep them on hand for a quick energy boost or a healthier alternative to cookies or candy, but when it comes to stroke risk, dates deserve a closer look. 1 or 2 dates might seem harmless, but just a few can contain 20 to 30 grams of sugar without the fiber to slow down absorption. Their absorption, and because they are so small, it's easy to eat more than intended. This is where problems can begin. After age 60, the body doesn't process sugar as efficiently. Blood sugar levels tend to rise faster and stay elevated longer, putting extra strain on arteries and the brain. When these sugar spikes occur frequently, they intensify inflammatory processes in blood vessels and increase the risk of blood clots, 2 major factors contributing to stroke. Another point to consider, dates are very calorie-dense. Just 1 handful can contain as many calories as a full meal. If you're trying to manage your weight, blood sugar, or blood pressure, this concentrated energy can disrupt balance, especially if eating dates becomes a daily habit. While dates do contain potassium, magnesium, and antioxidants, their high sugar content can outweigh potential benefits if not consumed cautiously. They are best eaten occasionally, in small portions, and always paired with a bit of protein or fat to help balance the sugar load. Next, we'll examine a fruit that is easily digested by some, but can cause dizziness and circulation issues in others, papaya. It's often considered a gentle, digestion-friendly fruit, and for many, this holds true. It's soft, low in acid, and rich in enzymes that support gut health. This is why papaya is particularly popular among older adults suffering from constipation or indigestion. However, even something seemingly so mild can have surprising effects on your body. One lesser-known feature of papaya is its ability to lower blood pressure. At first glance, this sounds beneficial. But if your blood pressure is already low, or if you're taking medication to control it, papaya can push it too far. This drop in pressure can make you feel dizzy, weak, or lightheaded, especially if you stand up quickly or eat it on an empty stomach. For older adults, such moments of instability can be dangerous. A sudden loss of balance or brief lightheadedness can lead to a fall or, worse, signal reduced blood flow to the brain. Over time, repeated episodes like these can strain your circulatory system and increase stroke risk. There's also something else to consider. Papaya contains compounds that can interact with certain medications, particularly anticoagulants and drugs affecting the heart or liver. While rare, it's still wise to be cautious, especially if you're managing multiple health conditions. Eating papaya occasionally is fine for most people, but moderation is key for safe consumption. If you ever feel unusually tired or unsteady after eating it, your body might be trying to tell you something. Next, we'll look at a fruit often enjoyed fresh and juicy, yet its natural sweetness can subtly strain your brain's most delicate blood vessels. Pears are soft, succulent, and easy to digest, making them a favorite for many older adults. A ripe pear might seem like an ideal snack, light, refreshing, and gentle on the stomach. But behind that sweet, tender texture lies something to be aware of, especially if you're monitoring your blood sugar or blood pressure. Pears are rich in natural sugars, particularly fructose. While not inherently bad, how your body handles sugar changes with age. After 60, insulin sensitivity tends to decrease, meaning your body may take longer to normalize blood sugar levels after a meal. This can lead to spikes, especially when pears are eaten alone or on an empty stomach. You might not feel anything at first, but these repeated sugar surges can slowly damage blood vessel linings, increase inflammation, and over time, reduce blood flow to the brain. These are all subtle changes that raise your long-term stroke risk without much fanfare. Another point to consider is how quickly you eat a pear. Because they are soft and sweet, it's easy to consume them rapidly. Without fiber to slow sugar absorption, and if not paired with anything else, that sugar quickly enters your bloodstream. To be clear, pears can still be part of a healthy diet. Just try to eat them with something containing protein or fat, like a few nuts or a slice of cheese, to slow digestion and maintain stable blood sugar. Next, we move to a fruit often found in canned goods and lunchboxes. Sweet and nostalgic, but not as harmless as it seems. There's something comforting about a ripe, juicy peach. It reminds many of us of summer days, homemade pie, or those small fruit cups we took to school. But while peaches can be a healthy choice when eaten fresh and in moderation, how they are often served today can subtly increase stroke risk. Fresh peaches are naturally sweet, but when they are canned, everything changes. Many canned peaches are packed in thick syrup, adding significant refined sugar to each serving. Even those labeled light syrup or no added sugar often contain concentrated fruit juice, which still causes a rapid blood sugar spike. For older adults, this sugar surge can be more than just an energy crash. It can strain your blood vessels, intensify arterial inflammation, and if repeated over time, significantly raise your stroke risk. And because the fruit is soft and easy to chew, it's easy to eat more than one serving without realizing it. Even fresh peaches, if very ripe, can have a high glycemic index, meaning they affect blood sugar levels more quickly. For those managing blood pressure or taking medications affecting water balance, the added sugar from canned or syrupy versions can worsen the situation. If you love peaches, opt for fresh or frozen without added sugar. Be mindful of your portion. And remember, just because something comes in a small plastic cup doesn't mean it's harmless. Finally, let's conclude with a fruit often found in energy bars and healthy mixes, yet it can contain more sugar than most desserts. You might not eat them daily, but figs, especially dried ones, have become popular in granola, healthy snacks, and gourmet cheese boards. They are often praised for their high fiber, potassium, and antioxidant content. While all this is true, there's another side to the story, especially if you're over 60 and trying to protect your brain. Dried figs are incredibly dense in natural sugar. Just 2 or 3 fruits can contain more sugar than an entire slice of cake. Since the water is removed, what remains is a concentrated burst of sugar that quickly enters your bloodstream without the hydration or bulk of fresh fruit to slow the process. For older adults, these rapid sugar spikes can be risky. Your blood vessels become more sensitive with age. High sugar loads can lead to inflammation, cause blood pressure fluctuations, and contribute to arterial plaque buildup. All of these subtly increase your stroke risk over time. Portion control is also a crucial aspect to consider. Figs, being small, chewy, and pleasant tasting, are easy to consume 5 or 6 without even realizing it. This amount of fruit packs a significant sugar punch in just a few bites. If other sweet snacks are also consumed throughout the day, the total sugar quickly accumulates in the body. Fresh figs, when available, are a more preferable option, though they still remain sweet, so moderation is key. For those who prefer dried figs, it's recommended to pair them with a small handful of nuts or a piece of cheese to balance the sugar load and slow glucose absorption. After comprehensively reviewing these 9 fruits, readers might wonder, should they be completely eliminated from the diet? The answer is unequivocally no. However, a deep understanding of how these foods impact the body after age 60 allows for safer and more confident consumption. Protecting your brain doesn't require a complete fruit ban. The main thing is to be aware of which fruits to limit and in what quantity. It's also crucial to know how and when to consume them. After 60, the body undergoes changes and dietary habits should be adjusted accordingly. Minor but thoughtful changes, such as pairing fruits with protein sources or choosing fresh over dried or canned options, can have a substantial positive impact on heart and brain function. It's important to remember that even foods traditionally considered healthy can be detrimental if they no longer align with your body's current needs. Everyone deserves to enjoy food without unknowingly putting their health at risk. Therefore, it's recommended to use the knowledge gained today to make more informed and caring dietary decisions. Your brain and your future self will be sincerely grateful for such foresight. Take care.